First of all, I thank you very much for holding this hearing, the first this Congress. I'm disappointed that the entire Senate is not moving on a bipartisan bill that will get 60+ votes. 3 years ago, I led an effort to lower drug costs on this committee. We brought in pharma CEOs, PBMs, and insurance executives, and advocates and experts. And we did it to discuss this problem and to seek solutions. We introduced bipartisan legislation. We marked that legislation up. Throughout the last Congress, we continued to make improvements in that legislation. And I suppose we could still say that there's still improvements that can be made. Our bill contains stuff I like, and it contains stuff that I didn't like, but that's the way the bipartisan process works. When first passed the Medicare Modernization Act, we did it in a bipartisan way. 12 Democrats in the Senate voted for it, including 2 members currently on this committee. At the time, this was the first major improvement in the Medicare program in nearly 40 years. Today, 49 million seniors have prescription drug coverage. 18 years later, we have a growing problem: prescription drug affordability. AARP says brand name drugs are going up more than twice the rate of inflation. Estimates suggest 3.5 million seniors are having difficulty affording their prescription drugs. The Kaiser report says 50% of the Part D drugs, 48% of the Part B drugs had price increases greater than inflation. At our July 2019 meeting, Wyden-Grassley markup, Senator Wyden said this, quote, "Who's going to come first, patients or taxpayers, or the pharmaceutical giants," end of quote. That's still a legitimate statement. If the majority keeps debating partisan ideas, however, on the issue of drug pricing, we will get nowhere. And then what? Pharma will win, and patients and taxpayers will lose. I urge my colleagues to work with me to pass Wyden-Grassley. It caps out-of-pocket expenses, $3,100, eliminates the donut hole, caps rising drug prices in Medicare at the inflation price index, ending uncapped taxpayer-funded subsidies to big pharma. It brings more sunshine and accountability as well. It saves $72 billion for seniors, $95 billion for taxpayers. Each one of these things is a very big deal. I share my colleagues' passion for solving high insulin costs. I've investigated insulin makers, and Wyden was right there with me when we did it together. We also have investigated PBMs and worked to hold all of these accountable. If we want to solve the high drug costs of insulin, we have to pass comprehensive reform, like Wyden-Grassley. Let's work to advance a bipartisan drug pricing bill that can pass with 60+ votes. I continue to meet with Democrats and Republicans to advance Wyden-Grassley. I will work with anyone who wants to pass this bipartisan legislation. Just to show you that while the Democrats were trying to pass prescription drug bills as part of Build Back Better, which now obviously, according to Manchin, is dead. I met last year with Pelosi, met last year with the House Problem Solvers group of 50 people. I met with the 10 Democrats that sent Pelosi a letter saying we need a bipartisan bill, not a partisan approach. I met with McCarthy. I met with Peter Welch, leader in that area. I met with McMorris Rogers, and I think all of these efforts, I said to them, you know, Wyden-Grassley's out of business if Democrats can pass a bill with 50 votes. But if you can't pass a bill, I want you to know what's around that we can get through the United States Senate. If we can get it through the United States Senate, you ought to be able to get it through the House of Representatives. So we need to be working on it, because if, just as a chance, and I hope this happens, that we have a Republican Congress next time, but I think you've suggested the difficulty of passing something like this in a Republican Congress. So you got to do it, an opportunity to do it right now. when Democrats and Republicans can work together to accomplish this. If we want to reduce drug prices, then we need to do it now. Thank you.